Welcome into the GT Counter podcast. My name is Tyler. Joining me, not as always, but always old friend of the show, my guy Reid Roloffs. Reid, what's up, dude?
What's going on, brother? Had to chime back in for the gray man who's who knows where he is these days. Hopefully enjoying the sunshine somewhere, but had to get I think he's going to Florida, he told me today. Good for him.
Much like Notre Dame, he is opting out of any postseason festivities.
As he should.
We got a fun one today. We'll talk some CFP. We'll talk some portal, which is obviously big in our team's world here. A little coaching, maybe, and maybe some. We'll talk Wolves basketball for 10 minutes. What do you think? Good 10 minutes on the Wolves?
We should if we'd done this yesterday, that'd be a better idea. Yesterday before the game, but after it'll be longer than 10 minutes.
All right, let's start with our good friends in Norman. A game we've seen already this year. Alabama goes to Oklahoma. It's basically a pick 'em. It's like a 1-point favorite either way, depending on where you look. The total stupid low. It's like 40.5. And I could think of all the matchups in the first round that were possible. This is the one that I wanted to see the least. And of course, we get this rematch. It's like, oh my gosh. Alabama's been hurt. Ryan Williams is on a milk carton. He's been MIA for like the entire season pretty much. Alabama can't run the ball. Ty Simpson might be hurt too. And then their special teams are some of the worst in the country. Alabama's offense is, or not Alabama's offense. Geez, already. Let's get Oklahoma's offense. Terrible. John Mateer, turnover king. But their defense and special teams are elite. It's just that they might not be able to score 2 touchdowns on anybody. So I don't know where this game is going to go because OU could have easily lost to both Missouri and LSU if not for their defenses falling asleep on Isaiah Statania for big touchdowns. I don't think that'll happen to Bama. We'll see, though. The only reason that OU won the first time is because they had a pick six. They had a couple of big punt returns, a muffed punt. So are those things repeatable? Probably not. But that being said, like, I think Oklahoma's healthier. I think their defense is the best unit on the field. So if it's a game that's played in the teens, like 17-14, can OU win again? Yeah, probably. I don't know. I have no feel on who's going to win the game. I just think it'll be gross. First to 20 wins. If I had to pick a side, I guess I'll take the home team. We haven't seen a home team lose yet in the first round of the playoffs. So until it happens, I guess I'll pick the home team and go with OU. But I think we're all losers for having to watch this football game.
I just want to know if it's time to have the Kalen DeBoer conversation. I don't know if that's a day for today or maybe in a week when we figure out what's going to go on this game.
Of course it is.
When there's, what is the line? When there's smoke, there's a fire. Obviously, I don't think people were expecting them to maybe keep up the same standard as Saban when he was there, but this team kind of feels like a shell of itself. I know they had kind of a good middle of the year. Obviously, losing to Florida State early was not good, as we figured out that Florida State was not good. But they've kind of soured down the stretch and have not looked great. Ryan Williams, like you mentioned, kind of disappeared, falling off the map after his really good freshman year. There's been debate about him not being happy with his role, obviously, which can be expected. Not sure he has a great relationship with Ty Simpson. I've seen some stuff about him saying, Ty only has one read. He's not really targeting him. Whose fault's that? Whether it's the OC, whether it's the quarterback, there's stuff going on. At the end of the day, vibes don't feel super good with Alabama right now, considering their coach is being thrown for just about every job available right now. Whether he goes to Michigan or not, that seems to be the only maybe realistic one at this point. But yeah, that's kind of the side for Alabama right now. And I'm a Ty Simpson guy. I think they should, be able to throw it a little bit. Obviously, it's good to see, Will Venables. It's funny when he got to Oklahoma, they couldn't stop a nosebleed. In his first couple of years, they still couldn't stop a nosebleed. He's turned that around, kind of been more of the defense we probably would have expected. But again, Mateer, you would think it'd be, something they could lean on a little bit more. And it was good early. And then, kind of like you mentioned, it just dried up as of late. So it's hard to know. Both these teams don't feel like they're in a great spot. I feel like whoever wins this game they're going to get knocked out next round. I'll just say that. I know you don't like it. I think it'll be fascinating just because I have no idea what to expect. Could I see Alabama, their defense being just physical enough to stop Oklahoma, and they get some explosives in the pass game? I could see that. I could also see Oklahoma's defense muddying this game up, and like you mentioned, it being a 21-17 game. I could see that too. So I have no idea what to expect. I think it'll be close for the most part, but it's probably the second most interesting game of the weekend, which take that for what it's worth.
Low bar, but yeah. Some fun trends. So Oklahoma, of their 12 games this year, 10 of them went under. Of Bama's 13 games, 9 of them went under. Both teams actually kind of decent against the spread. OU was 5-2 against the spread as a favorite, and which they are now basically a 1-point favorite pretty much everywhere. So I don't know. I'll be interested. I'm gonna watch, of course, but when this game is 6-3 midway through the third quarter, I'm just gonna question what I've been doing for the last 2 hours. That's it. That's the only thing.
This does feel like a game if Oklahoma can. I think Alabama's going to win. I just think they have enough firepower offensively. I think they'll get enough explosives, even against a venerable defense. But if Oklahoma if they can do something in special teams or block a punt, big play in the return game, I think that could be something that would flip a game, especially between these two. So, I really don't have a great feel. I would lean Alabama. Take the plus 1.5 if you want it. I just think they have more talent, a lot more talent offensively than Oklahoma does. And if you can stop Mateer in the run game, I like your chances. Just don't leave Satania wide open. That's pretty much what we got to do at this point.
Pretty much. I'll take OU. Don't feel great about it, but should be a close game, and that's all we can ask for. Another game that should be close, Miami at Texas A&M. The Irish left out for this game, even though, well, I guess both these teams did beat Notre Dame. So kind of funny that they are playing each other in the first round. It's kind of ironic nonetheless. But I thought A&M kind of got screwed on the seeding. I thought they should have been ahead of Ole Miss, especially with all the coaching changes and stuff going on. And it's a big deal because instead of hosting Tulane, they're playing Miami, who's won 4 in a row ever since losing to SMU. This game will be at 11 a.m. in College Station. A shame it's not the night game, but alas, we don't get to make those choices. A&M started as a 5.5-point favorite, got all the way down to 3. It's now 3.5-point favorite. Total's like 48.5. Best players on the field, I think number 1 is probably Malachi Toney, which is wild since he's a true freshman. And number 2, whenever Miami's defense is on the field, it might be Ruben Bain. So if you have the 2 best players in the game, I think you should probably win it. But then again, we get Carson back in a big game, which is kind of problematic. So, and then we get Mario in a big game too, which is even worse. So, I mean, there's so many forces at play here. Number 1, A&M hasn't won a big game ever. Mario Cristobal hasn't won a big game ever. Carson Beck is not that guy. Somebody's got to win and move on to the next round to play Ohio State. I'm interested what you think about this game, though.
Could go a lot of different ways. Could I see a Corey Heatherman-led defense for Miami step up and create problems for Texas A&M? And yes, I did mention Corey Heatherman. I have to. I could see that happening. I do lean on A&M, and we can talk a little bit more about that. If they beat Texas, they're comfortably the 2 seed. I would think that being undefeated, or I guess it would depend on if they obviously the championship game that would differ, yada yada. But that's a big fall for them, and in Miami, I think it's I know they're in the ACC. I talk a lot about how much I absolutely can't stand the ACC. They were the cream of the crop there. Carson Beck, he was solid. I do have to give it to him. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons, obviously, and um, funny enough, I think they like the weapons more at Miami this year than I did at Georgia. So he maybe made the right move and got a lot more money for it. But this is one I think, when we're talking about Marcel Reid, are they going to be able to contain him, keep him in the pocket? Is he going to be healthy? I don't even know what did they end up saying in the Texas game? What was kind of the diagnosis there?
He rolled his ankle. He came back in. He ended up being fine. Like he was a little gimpy, but it wasn't going to be anything. He should be full go.
It's one of those things you thought in real time. It's like, is he going to miss the year? And then ends up just being an ankle, and he's 5 days later.
I think his ankle rolling saved his knee. To be completely honest with you,
good knee and ankle flexion there. I at this point, I've been on Elko's bandwagon for a while, and it feels like why hop off now? But at 3.5, I kind of like Miami at least covering that. I think it'll be close. Again, I hate that it's at 11 o'clock, but I don't see A&M being super explosive against a really good Heatherman defense. Obviously, you mentioned Ruben Bain. They got some guys up front that are going to create problems. And again, you can say, well, in the competition they played, of course they're going to create problems. They did it enough against quality teams that I'm buying it. NFL scouts are buying it, So, man, this is going to go back and forth either. I lean Miami in kind of a little bit of an upset, which is unfortunate for A&M considering the year that they've had. But you can say the same thing. A&M faltering in the stretch, almost losing to South Carolina. Should have lost to South Carolina. And then obviously Texas played a really good game. They're no slouch, obviously. I know you have some thoughts on that yourself, but a lot of times it's like who can get hot at the right moment. And I thought Miami deserved to be in over their win over Notre Dame. Like that does matter. Say what you want, Grayson. He's maybe or maybe not going to listen to this, but he absolutely should not have gotten it. But I do think Miami, I would lean that way just because I don't love how A&M kind of finished down the stretch there.
I think Miami's going to win the game for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think that Texas A&M was a little overhyped. They didn't play anybody with a winning record in the SEC except for Texas. They lost by 2 scores. Down the stretch, they were not playing their best football. They were down 30-3 against a bad South Carolina team. Got outscored by 17 in the second half against Texas, who just fired their defensive coordinator, which is still wild to say. I'm just not sure that they're there as a team. Like, I think they're pretty good. I think they're a top 10 or 15 team. But I just don't think they're that much different than Miami. And that's like the line's 3.5. You're saying that basically A&M's favored by home field. So I buy Miami being at least an equal here. And I do think when it comes down to it, I trust Miami's trench play just a little bit more. I know Texas A&M's offensive line has been really good this year. Their running game's been really good. But again, against the schedule where it was easy to go get it, right? Like the best run defense they played down the stretch in SEC play was Texas. They were held to like 120 yards of rushing. They've been averaging over 200. And they hadn't played a run defense anywhere close to that since Notre Dame. And in that game, Marcel Reid threw for 380. That wasn't a run game. So against the Miami front that I think is really good, I'm not sure they can run the football here. And if the game's in Marcel Reid's hands, I'm always going to say it. It's going to be the opponent's game to win. And I just think it's going to be the case. I think it'll be lower scoring. I like Heatherman a lot. I'm sorry that he's not a gopher anymore. He's probably going to win lots of awards for the job he's done with this defense. And I think Miami's going to win like 28-20.
Yeah, I could see the same. Again, it feels like it could be close. I could see it going either way, but I like Miami just a little bit more. If Beck doesn't make the big mistake in the big game, I think I think it's a lot closer than I don't think it should be 3.5. I'll say that much.
Like, I think we're looking at this game fundamentally differently if A&M does not come all the way back against South Carolina and they're, you know, they lose 30-27. Like, I think we look at this game a little bit differently. And so it is what it is. But I can't believe I'm saying this. I think I trust Miami just a little bit more.
It's weird though because their 2 losses, both in kind of the middle of the year, against Louisville at home, which is not great considering how Louisville finished down the stretch, but also SMU, who, again, not, this isn't last year's SMU. Like, this isn't playoff SMU. Those are kind of the 2 toughest teams that they've played in the last, 6 weeks. I don't know where you rank Pitt on that. I don't really think all too highly of Pitt as of right now, but those are the 2 toughest teams they've played in the last 8 weeks, and both were losses. So again, that's ACC football for you. I mean, you give it to them. They beat Notre Dame in a game that was week 1. Was that week 1?
CJ Carr's first start, yeah, Labor Day.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how good Miami is either. I just A&M in big games. Again, I want to believe in Elko, but I think it's going to be close. And if I had to lean, I'd definitely take the 3.5. Wouldn't surprise me if it went outright.
Yeah, I agree. The second of our 2 rematches, Tulane at Ole Miss. Again, this is where the seeding, could we not have slid A&M up a spot so we didn't get a terrible rematch between Tulane and Ole Miss with 2 coaches who are either gone or about to leave? Like, come on, guys. Come on. Ole Miss is 17.5-point favorites. That being said, if there was one of these 2 games with a G5 involved that was going to be close in the fourth quarter, I think it's this one. Just due to Ole Miss's situation with Kiffin, there's a lot more, I guess, unknowns there. I don't think it will be close. I think that Ole Miss is far superior as a team. But if there was going to be one of these 2 that I think is close, I think it would be this one. But that being said, I think Ole Miss handles business here and earns their butt whipping against Georgia next round. But we'll see.
I hate to say I'm more interested in where the Ole Miss, which ones are going to stay, which ones are going to go, than the actual game itself. We saw what happened the first time, 45-10 on September 20th. Wouldn't surprise me if it was, again, 45-10 this weekend. I get it. It's a different, Tulane team. Played well down the stretch, yada, yada. Nobody wanted to see them here, first of all. Not sure why they got the, 2:30 kickoff time, Central Time?
Yeah. Why aren't they the noon game?
Yeah. Put them at 11 o'clock when people on the West Coast are still trying to wake up. I just don't. I have zero interest in this game. It'll be on. Will my eyes be glued to it? Absolutely not.
Same with the night game, although I do think Oregon is more likely to lay a hammer here. I laid 21. I don't think this game's all that close. I don't know why James Madison is taking money here. It's 20.5 some places now. I just have no reason to believe James Madison is going to be in the ballpark here. Oregon's getting healthy. You were saying it earlier that their receivers are all questionable here. I'd be surprised if Decorium Moore doesn't play. Maybe Evan Stewart not, but I think 2 out of the 3 probably will. Good little tune-up at least for the next game. Why is James Madison going to be close here? They played one Power 4 team all year, and it was Louisville, and they lost by 14. Granted, kept it within 14. They were getting 14.5. So they basically performed to the spread. I don't see why this game is going to be anywhere close. I think Oregon can name their number, and I think it's going to be 49-14. I don't think it's going to be all that close.
Yeah, it's kind of a wild line, to be honest. I think they're going to absolutely lay the hammer. Again, it's such a weird spot for all these coaches who are going to be gone, the day after they lose this inevitable game. Chesney going to UCLA. I think Oregon's really good. I think they were battle tested. They played a lot of tough teams. in the Big Ten, even if they didn't play, Ohio State. I still think that Oregon's probably should be ranked higher than what they are. I really like this team. I feel like they have a really good balance of offense and defense. And I think when we think of Oregon, we think of just the old little Michael James. They're going to score 60 every single game, and I feel like this team right now is almost better defensively, which should go in their favor. Held Washington to 14 points, held a really good USC offense to 27, which, say what it is. But I just feel like they are battle tested, and I think they are built to make a run here. Sorry, James Madison. Happy you got in. Actually, no, I'm not, but it's not going to be close.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on those last two games. I guess we can. Gophers will be after Christmas. Texas will be after Christmas. I don't know if I'll pod between now and then, but any other overarching bowl thoughts, whether it be opt-outs or games or teams you're interested in?
I would like to make a statement in honor of bowl season. I feel like it's fitting. People say bowls don't matter. Now, the people that say that, I understand that it is a completely different experience than it used to be 5 years ago. Different experience, but what I will say, if you're looking at a player development perspective, I like to think of it as a Kickstarter into the next year for the most part. Which is, why do you want to play in a bowl game? Even like if you're Notre Dame, why should you have played in a bowl game? Because you get 3 or 4 weeks of extra practice with all these guys. And it's a great time to actually see, all these young guys who've been developing, whether they're freshmen, redshirt freshmen, guys that haven't necessarily got a ton of field time. Another opportunity for them to get better, get in the weight room, get it back on the field, trying to earn a spot for, fall camp coming up next year, spring ball. A lot can happen in 3 to 4 weeks when you actually get out there. And in the bowl game, even if you don't want to, you're going to have some guys opt out inevitably. That's fine. Guys are going to go pro. In Notre Dame's case, the running backs. Don't you want to take a look at what you have in the backfield behind those guys? Just like there's so much opportunity to build for next year, to develop. Sound like PJ Fleck right now on my soapbox talking about development. It's a development program. It blows my mind that some of these people are egotistical to think that they do not want to, make an emotional decision and say, "Oh, we're not going to play. We're going to who are you boycotting? Nobody. You're not. What are we doing here?"
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like if you're Notre Dame's running back number 4, you'd be like on your hands and knees trying to get reps here in these practices. Like you've been running the scout team all year, and all of a sudden you've got this opportunity handed to you where you're going to get 25, 30 snaps in a bowl game, and they're just like, no thanks.
And I'm totally good if the opt-outs, if people want to opt, I get it. You didn't make the playoff. That's ultimately what we're trying to strive for. I know some people used to hate when people would sit out bowl games. I get it. If you're going to get drafted, you don't want to be, we're talking about Notre Dame, you don't want to be Jalen Smith from however many years ago that was.
Yeah.
And have that kind of tank your career. I completely get it. Teams, I think, have understood that as well. But I just don't understand why people wouldn't want that, unless they think they're just going to get their next guy in the portal anyways, which they'll have enough money to do so. But these games matter. It matters more than you probably think, even though it's almost a completely different ball game than the regular season.
Oh, 100%. It's almost a different sport, but it still matters. It does. And I thought Notre Dame opting out was kind of soft, to be completely honest with you. I get it. I just think it's a little soft. You don't think Vandy was upset? They went 10-2 in the SEC. You don't think Texas was upset? They scheduled Ohio University instead of Ohio State. They're in the playoff. BYU probably upset. They were 11-1 in the regular season, and they got no respect the whole year. Granted, they were a fraud. That's just me, but they were fraudulent. Yeah, but they're all showing up to bowl games. Now, granted, all of them are in conferences, and if they don't, they get fined. See Iowa State getting fined $500,000. See K-State getting fined $500,000. Notre Dame doesn't have that. NBC's not going to fine them for not showing up in their bowl game. So they get to play by a different set of rules. I get it, but it is soft nonetheless. I am kind of looking forward to some of these bowls though, like Iowa against the Vandy, Kirk Ferentz against Diego Pavia. Like, yeah, give me that. So excited for that. I'm excited for GT and BYU. Obviously excited to watch Texas play. Excited to watch the Gophers play another Mountain West team. That'll be great fun out in the desert.
Jason Eck, did you see his recent comment today on Twitter about taking the Mr. Beast idea? Did you see that?
Yes, I did. That was funny.
Yeah, that'd be. I mean, that is a great idea. Yeah, but there's enough intrigue in some of these games now. Again, you don't know exactly what is actually going to be thrown out there unless you have endless amount of time to figure out who actually is opted out and who is going to transfer and all of the above, because it's going to be different rosters. But still enough intrigue to get us through the holidays. And yeah, I agree. Like BYU, nobody want to see BYU. I think they got the right teams in there for the most part. Everyone's going to gripe at some point. Like this, I think was Texas deserving? Are they a top 12 team? Yes. It's just at what point do they have to, do they expand to 16? Do they expand to 20? It's like people are always going to be upset.
16, I think, is the number. That way you don't get buys. Everybody gets to host a first round playoff game. That feels natural to me.
I definitely don't hate it. You just know that in that year, the 17th team in the country is going to be like, what do you mean we didn't get in? Like, there's always going to be somebody who gets left out. But it's
this
also
year that'd be USC.
Yes. But it's also going to be, in Texas, if you're Texas, you're saying, why do we even schedule out of conference opponents that are like Ohio State? Like, especially considering they would have been in, you're in the SEC, you've played the schedule that you did, more than deserving to get in. I think everybody that matches the eye test played very well down the stretch. Like, again, that's what you're looking for. Teams that are hot down the stretch, they're absolutely a top 12 team. And it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, maybe don't schedule out opponents or out of conference opponents that are really good. So it's high risk, high reward at that point.
True. It's all right. When Arch wins the Heisman next year and Texas wins the Natty, it'll be all made up for. It's fine. I mean, do we need to get into portal now?
The Michigan-Texas game, I don't think it'll be close. I do think Texas will roll. Did they open 7.5?
No, they opened 4.5.
I was gonna say that shot up pretty high.
It moved from 5.5 to 7.5 on the Sharon Moore news. Because I grabbed 6.5.
I still don't think that'll be enough if Texas is. I mean,
Texas is going to have some opt-outs too. Don't get me wrong. Like that defense right now, they have about one linebacker who played any sort of snaps this year.
And I don't think it'll matter because I think
Michigan's pretty depleted right now.
Yeah, they're going to be.
And they weren't very good on top of that.
Yeah, I didn't love what I saw, but yeah, we can dive into some portal. There's a lot of portal thoughts.
The quarterback market is a good year to need a quarterback in the portal. After last year where not many starters hopped in, this year it starts with Lagway. Then we get Sorsby, although it sounds like he might be a Texas Tech Red Raider already, if you pay attention to some message boards. You've got Raiola, Minnie Mahomes still mourning after Pat tore his ACL. Just, Raiola got injured earlier this year, but now he's thinking like, man, do I need to tear my ACL too? So you got that. Then the news today, Josh Hoover's getting in the portal. I'm sure I'm missing some more quarterbacks who are in, notably Lenore Sellers not in the portal, although our guy McShay thought he was earlier this year. So I was kind of shocked to see that Sellers actually went back, but good for South Carolina, I suppose. Maeva's coming back for another year. Like next year's quarterback class in the draft is going to be legit. And a lot of them are in the portal right now.
There's a lot of fun names for sure at quarterback. That's got to be the biggest. A lot of different directions we can go there.
I didn't even touch on Mestamaker, who, although he's probably going to be Oklahoma State, but the leading passer in college football this year hit the portal.
I think there's been more big names, at least at quarterback, than there has been. Do you have any fun matches that you'd like to throw out there that maybe haven't been talked about for QBs and places?
So I saw somebody post today that Indiana seems like the team to watch for Hoover, which just makes sense to me. I think one of them, I'm trying to find an interesting match for Lagway. Like, does he go the Ole Miss route? Well, I guess no longer Ole Miss. Does he go LSU? Does he want to stay in the SEC? Baylor was really in on him in his recruitment. Does he go Baylor? Go to the Big 12, save Dave Aranda's job, maybe try to boost his numbers up a little bit. Like, I think for me, Lagway is the toughest one for me to get a read on. And maybe Rayola too, but it sounds like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a Miami Hurricane.
To me, Lagway, and I think what they say his dad went to Baylor, so I think that was the connection there.
Yep.
And obviously they recruited him heavily out of high school. I just think it's such a schematic difference going from Sawyer to Lagway. Like, I think that is a big change. Like, I don't know if that, that's going to have to be a pretty heavy shift from what you're asking your quarterback to do, because he's not the type of guy you want to sit back there and sling it. Like, that's just not. I haven't seen enough from him consistency wise. Like, I just don't think that would be a great fit for him. I'd see under Kiffin a little bit more of a fit. I don't think it's like a match made in heaven either, but I don't know if I see something that just jumps off the page. I can definitely see Rayola in Miami. I feels like that kind of feels like a match made in heaven. Not necessarily a good one, but just one that you just feel like what's going to happen. I'm surprised to see that 24/7 Sports, my beloved 24/7 Sports, has Brendan Sorsby as the top quarterback in the portal.
He was good this year, in fairness, but
I get it. But listen, I was high on Cincinnati going into the year, but not sure he'd be my first choice of Pickens in there.
Who would be your QB1?
If we're taking age into effect, I mean, I'd probably want Mestamaker, if I'm being completely honest. A guy that you at least get 2 years with it. You say at least, but I mean, if you just want a guy to plug and play, if I feel who's going to win me the most games in the right system, maybe Hoover. I mean, maybe. I'm not the biggest Sorsby guy in general. I mean, they scored 6 or 9 points against Nebraska early on, or whatever they did. It's a 2-league conference. We know it's the Big Ten, the SEC. Everything else besides that, it's hard for me to honestly garner a ton of respect unless they do it at a high level. And he was really good, but I'm not sure you throw him into a power school and expect to see the same type of results.
Hypothetically, if JKS entered the portal, he'd be your QB1, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think people think already him as the number one pick in a couple of years. 100%. He showed enough on a team that really wasn't all that talented.
Yeah. I think one of the more interesting names, Nick Marsh, the Michigan State receiver. I'm excited to see where he goes. He's going to get a big payday too. I think if Cam Coleman hops in, he's going to get a big payday. Haven't heard anything there. There's a few receivers that could pop in there that would be interesting. Your guy, Malachi Coleman, hopped in, which is tough. It sounds like DeAndre Moore is going to go pro.
Oh, wow.
Although he hasn't announced it yet. He's not going to be back with Texas either way. It's either going to be pro or portal. I think he's going pro. At least that's been what has been reported. So interesting there.
You want a sneaky receiver that I like in the portal that I'm not sure he'll make a ton of noise?
I do.
Jace Brown, Kansas State.
Yes. Yes.
Listen, love me some Avery Johnson. it just has not worked out to probably how he's wanted it to. But I think you get Jace Brown with a real quarterback. I think he is going to be. Would love him up north. If you can take that hint, but yeah, I think he's going to be legit if he goes somewhere where they utilize him.
100%. I can't wait for the random like FCS or kind of D2 guy who is all of a sudden like, it's like, oh yeah, he's signing with like a Big Ten team or an SEC team. It's like I'd love those small school guys. Also, the San Jose State kid, Scudero, he's a problem. He's legit really good. He's Nick Nash cloned.
Well, you mentioned the D2 route. It's kind of funny because last year at this time, could anybody enter? Like at this time, the portal you could have already entered and people could have already committed.
Yep.
So the big difference now is obviously, people say that they're going to enter and what is it, not official until January, whatever it is.
But agents are already talking. I mean, that's why some of these dudes hopped in, right? Because they know there's like Leona LaFalle. If you read the tea leaves, apparently he started at Texas this year at linebacker. Apparently BYU beat his door down with an offer, and Texas was like, "No, we can't do that. Have fun."
That's what you call a cultural fit, if you know what I mean.
Correct. You get some of the Islanders. He's a Hawaii dude. I mean that. Yeah.
He's either a Ute or he's going to BYU.
Yeah. Either that or he's going to go somewhere small school West Coast.
Yeah. But it's funny because all these guys are entering and, they can't, officially offer. We're not naive enough to know that there's not conversations being had behind closed doors. That's probably never going to change, no matter how many restrictions we want to put on it. But D2 guys are free game. Like they can commit, they can go visit, they can do all this stuff. So all those guys that may have fallen under the radar in the past, even if they would have been talented and been wanting to make the leap, this is the best time for a kid to do it just because you're in the portal. You can actually make that jump. You can go and visit and get all these places out of the way before all these other guys can go in. And you can kind of claim your spot there if you wanted to jump up to Power 5 and have a chance. So I saw a bunch of the West Florida. I can't remember how well they did in the D2 playoffs, but they had a bunch of, their quarterbacks going to visit Syracuse. The receivers are one of them I'd love to have up north. But it's funny, they're getting all these Power 5 offers that are just coming straight from D2. And it's like, I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, us coming from D2, seeing those guys have a good chance and a better chance they would have had in previous years.
They're the main attraction right now. They really are because they're the only dudes who can be in there. So when you're the center of attention, like all of a sudden that film against Slippery Rock looks pretty good,
I would recommend that they commit before so they don't fall out of the because once all the other guys, it's like
get that signature down.
When it comes January, you better figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talk about something like the backroom stuff. Like you hear rumors today that Jaden Baugh is getting offered $1.5 million from Georgia and Texas. You experienced it with the Gophers with Fame, who's likely headed to Auburn because they money whipped him. Like, yeah, I mean, these dudes all have agents, and there's nothing that says that agents can't be shopping around, and better believe they are. And you see it. Like Hoover, I was kind of surprised Hoover hopped in. I mean, I guess one of the people I work with is somewhat connected at TCU, and he was telling me last week that Hoover might jump in. I was like, yeah, but his OC left to go to South Carolina. And I was like, well, Settlers just staying. Like, why is he going to hop in the portal? And then all of a sudden it comes out today that Indiana's after him. It's like, yeah, that checks out.
Indiana just feels like the guy that they're like Mendoza. I don't think anybody ever thought of him as like, oh, this guy's going to be the number one pick, or this guy's the top quarterback in the portal. Nobody thought that, but they turned him into something.
Yep.
It's like he was solid, of course, but he was never, what they were. And then Curtis Rourke, the guy who was playing G5 football and then comes up and has an unbelievable year. And Hoover just feels like the best that they've probably got at that point. And I'm saying that as Mendoza is probably going to go number one overall, which I don't see, but that's a story for another day.
Weak class. Class.
But Hoover just feels like a match made in heaven. if that is to happen. Just sit back there and a pure pocket passer who can pick you apart if you give him some time up front.
Tell you what, it's also good. It's a good year to be a QB in the portal. It's also a good year to be an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman in the portal because I think basically every team in the country is hunting down offensive and defensive linemen, especially interior. Like if you're a good defensive tackle who plays like one technique or three tech, or if you're a guard offensive line, I know normally it's mostly tackles, but it feels like a lot of people this year are searching for interior offensive line and defensive line help. It's a good year to be one of those. You will get paid.
It's funny because we talk about development. Like one of the most important things coming out of high school, it's so hard to play as a lineman just because your body needs to develop. Obviously, every other position is similar, but I feel like offensive and defensive linemen, like you need a couple years of weight room, nutrition, all that good stuff coming from high school. And I feel like that's why people are so impatient with developing linemen these days, just because like there's going to be guys that are experienced in the portal that want to make the leap, and you kind of makeshift your way just by picking up guys like that who are experienced, who have played, and kind of plug and play. It's been easier this recently than it has been to develop. So like you mentioned, tons of guys that come in, tons of guys that tons of schools that are looking for guys that have played at a high level. So it's just been wild to see the switch and kind of progression there.
Any other portal things we need to hit? I think I'm kind of, until we get a better idea here, like it's fun to see all the names hop in, but we'll start to learn some destinations here as we get sooner to portal opening, I think.
Yeah, and especially once we start, actually, a lot of these teams actually play their bowl games. You'll have even more people hop in, even that aren't in the playoff. Come January, we'll have a lot better idea about rosters for next year, or at least moving into spring ball. And then obviously the portal will happen very quickly. Coming a couple weeks now, so we'll learn a lot then. But it's as much as I have a love-hate relationship with the portal. It is still, player movement is king, and it is still fun to see where people go.
It is. It just might not be as fun to bet on it unless our friends at Kalshi have their way, which that's such nonsense. But that's a different topic for a different day.
Insider trading 101.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, so we can't get you an NIL deal, but what we'll do is we'll set it up and you can bet the yes on you to hop in the portal, and then we'll pay you out that way. It's like,
Kawhi
okay.
Leonard sort of chose that route instead of his fake tree company.
Correct. Apple time, apple tree. It is what it is. Last little bit, coaching wise, who do you think takes a Michigan job?
I guarantee you they want DeBoer badly. If option A is not available, it's tough because it doesn't feel like, I don't feel like there's a lot of options that would excite Michigan football people. And then at that point, it's like, do you overpay for somebody you're maybe not sold on? Which, again, that's usually what happens. Or do you maybe wait out till the next year? You hate being one of the last ones in to kind of figure that out. And it's like, it sounds like they knew about this for a while. So that's what kind of makes it also confusing, unless they knew they would have had a guy and they've been trying to get somebody lined up for a month. It's just all bad. And I am not mad about that. They can JJ McCarthy stand over here for what it's worth, but besides that, don't care much for Michigan football. So I don't even know. I mean, some of the names, it's just like nothing jumps out at me. I think DeBoer would actually be a pretty good fit there, and I could see him working long term. But seeing him leave Alabama would be kind of shocking after this is his second year.
Yeah. I think the interesting one there is Kenny Dillingham. I think he'd be a great coach. Not sure he's going to leave Arizona State. Sounds like he's using his name there to try to leverage.
Yeah. Didn't he re-up, or was that? I thought he signed an extension.
Not that I saw, but that doesn't mean he hasn't. I'll have to go look. I know that Drinkwitz got extended. Clark Lee got extended. Apparently Jed Fish is not going to get that job. Apparently he's already said no. It's like if I'm Michigan and I can't get DeBoer or Dillingham, I'm probably just going to leave Biff as the interim for the year and try to start my search early next year and get a head start.
I think there's value in that. It's like you don't want to waste a year, and they're gonna lose out on a whole class of recruiting. Also, one of the craziest maybe things I've ever heard from a high program school is them taking only one kid from the state of Michigan in this recruiting class, and that kid was a late flip.
Yeah.
Like Michigan, like that is bizarre. It's not like there's no talent, and it's not like we're talking about like Rhode Island or something like that. It's Michigan. It's going to have a lot of hope high-profile kids come out, and none of them wanted to stay home. So that should probably tell you where they're leading. But yeah, I just couldn't be happier, frankly, to see it kind of all collapse like that. And
That's right.
It's obviously with the Harbaugh stuff, obviously you say when there's smoke, there's a fire. It's been there for a number of years now. So it's kind of actually shocking that they were actually able to put something together and actually win a natty.
I agree. Anything else? I'll spare you the Wolves talk.
That's a conversation for another day. That is a complete shift from where we're at right now.
We'll save that one for like February, All-Star break time. Well, unless you have anything else, I'm tapped out here. We're 45 minutes. That was longer than I thought we'd go on 4 games.
It's people say there's no dull time in a lot of these sports, and obviously we're ending the good part of it with the playoff here and the bowl games, but even after that, transfer portal, and then you got spring ball, which is going to be a little bit of a lull. Besides that, it's up and kicking then into the summer, and before you know it, we'll be back here for the fall again. So
until then, we enjoy transaction season, which we are sickos and kind of enjoy that just about as much as anything.
Player movement is king, and I'll continue to say it.
And college football does it better than anybody else.
They took matters in their own hands and said, watch me.
There will be nothing more crazy than the portal for these 2 weeks here coming up.
I'm excited for it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you pinch hitting as always. We'll need to get you back on here, talk Wolves, talk NBA, talk NBA draft eventually. I got my eye on some people. Got my eye on them. So that'll be coming soon, but that's for a later day. Appreciate you as always, my guy. And until next time, peace out. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I don't know if I'll see you until after then. So bye.